I did want to take a moment because I know it's been heavy on so many people's heart. I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of you all. I think we just need to take a moment and begin unpacking the last couple of weeks. I know many of you are hurting and in pain. I want you to know that you are heard. And we're there with you. I began thinking about our theme for today, and I hope, I know we're running late, folks, but I think, are you okay with this? Because I think we need to do this. Our theme is really dialed in here. It's outrageous courage to rise up. And it's the perfect day for that. And Gail's story really spoke to where we are. And this whole notion about courageous, the root word is kur, which means heart. So the passion of the heart. I think that's who we are here at Peace. And I know it's been a challenging week or a couple of weeks for many of us. And my dear pastoral friend and pastoral colleague, Lisa Janke at Mount Olive Lutheran Church, dear soul, dear friend, we commiserate a lot at Glenner's and Tavern 22. We actually work a little bit in between all that, but we do commiserate. And she actually taught me and talked to me about this, and she said there's really two things going on. One, we have a job to do. We have a job description. As many of you know, and our job description is things like budgets and worship prep and staffing issues, like Dylan, and visiting with others, and those really glamorous duties that I do, like cleaning toilets and fixing broken chairs and hanging signs, all the jobs that I have to do. But then she said there's also those pastoral responsibilities we have. At the ordination that we take, many of you who are at Jerry's ordination heard about those vows that you take, about lifting up the poor and the oppressed and to lift up the brokenhearted. We heard that from Gail today, to help people through their brokenness, to do justice and to show God's love for all the people. That's our calling, if you will. And then I talked to her about that. I said, but I think we're missing one thing. It's that personal part that we as pastors have to encounter and engage with. Because we do our job, we do our pastoral thing to care for things, but we also have that third piece, which is very, very strong, is our personal things around this. So it's a convoluted mess. So I think we all share kind of in that journey. We have our lives, we have our families, and how do we maneuver through this? I think that's where we're all, though, together on that. We're trying to hold ourselves together in light of what's transpired in the recent weeks around us. Now, I think the passage that Missy read really speaks to that, especially that last line. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places. There will be famines, and this is but the beginning of the birth pangs. And I love that imagery that comes forth because, folks, I think this is our beginning. This is our time to be the church that God has called us to be more than ever, perhaps. So we want to really be settled in that. So I want to take a moment, and I'm going to kind of rush through this a little bit because I know the Vikings are playing a little bit later on, if anybody cares. Okay, I know you do, but I think it's important we unpack this a little bit. Because we're out here today to rehash the election, right? Election's done and over. And the overwhelming response from people in our nation was to elect Donald Trump as the new president of the United States. And I want to be clear here. The majority of the people have spoken, and some of it are in our congregation too voted for Donald Trump. For their reasons, they were led to make that decision and vote for him. That is their prerogative, their decision. We have a nation that's built on that freedom that we cannot lose. It's a freedom of choice that needs to be lived out, not only in elections, but for all things in our world. For each of us to share our own personal vote and vote for the candidate of our choice. That is the hallmark of who we are as a country, is that not? So we need to respect one another, whether we agree with one another or not. And so here in the church, it's not about a political party. It's about what God calls us to do. And I don't want us to continue living in this divided nation concept in this church. We are better than that. Amen? So I really want us to think about what we're about. But even with that said, I think there's something here that's really important for us to unpack. I've really been asking the question of our study groups along the way. And I think it's real important for us to really understand what's going on culturally in our nation. Why so many people felt the need and felt so angry and felt so fearful that they had to vote in the majority way like that. What's behind that vote? And I know you all well. I know you very well, but I'm curious how your personal faith and your understanding of Jesus' message and your work and message and focus of this church, Peace United, and the work of our denomination, the United Church of Christ, influenced your decision or did not. How did you vote, and why did you vote in that way as you're informed by your faith, not by a political party? I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, but what informed your vote about faith? I want to learn from you. Seriously, I think we all need to learn from one another how decisions are made with your faith-centeredness to make a decision that would have severe consequences for our siblings who sit in our pews every Sunday. How we can make a decision that's going to impact them negatively and feel good about that. And those we work with and support with and live that throughout our week, our friends, our family members, our workmates, how was your decision informed and what compelled you to make that choice based on your faith? Not because of Fox News, not because of CNN, but your faith in God. Because I have to be honest, I struggle. And I think most of you struggle as well, understanding how that can be. There's this big disconnect for me. So I struggle because I see the experience engaged with a great fear and sadness that so many in our community and broader connections are experiencing. They engage with hate each and every day. The struggle is very, very real for so many who face mass deportation. The way of experiencing here, that struggle is very real for so many at the loss of health care rights in our community, for our women in particular, who fear maintaining their marriage if they are in part of the LGBTQ community. Our trans siblings who feel more traumatized than ever and who fear about what's going to come next. I fear that those whom we love will be marginalized and oppressed, especially our black and brown siblings who face oppression and racism every day. If you don't believe me, talk to people because it's real. And it's hurtful and it's painful. Even our own Pastor Jerry has preached about that. Folks have got to wake up and pay attention to what's going on. So for those who are experiencing this loss and fear and hurt again, I want you to know that I hear you and I see you. We see you and we love you. And we stand with you. We rise up with you. Yes, the election is over. Now we need to live into that new reality. But Peace United, our work and ministry is just beginning. I want you all to hear that no matter who the President of the United States is, it does not change who we are as a church. It does not change what we do as a church. It does not change who we will become and affirm and who we embrace and who we love. That will not change as long as I'm standing up here in front of this church. So Peace United, we are still here. We bring hope. Did you hear that message today from Gail? That is the hope that's before us. We bring hope. We're doing the work of justice and inclusivity and peace that we're called to do. Our voice and our vision, our calling is more important than any Democrat or any Republican or any of our personal views because God's love needs to be at the center for all people, period, without exception. I want you to keep remembering that vision statement before us because that's what we're living into. That's who we are at Peace. And even though it feels daunting and dark for many, I feel more than ever that it is our time to be the church. We need to have this outrageous courage to rise up because this world needs a place called Peace United. More than ever, it's our calling to be out in the world, our message for justice and peace and hope and love. We are a voice that needs to be heard and a message that the world needs to hear more than ever. We need to move, my friends, from an advocacy role, which we've done for years, into an activism role. And that's not Democrat or Republican, that's a God thing. So I really want you to think about where so many people feel they are. this sense of darkness. We had this great study from Barbara Brown Taylor about how learning to walk in the dark. And it's okay to be in the dark. Gail was in the dark. We are all in the dark in some shape or form. And that's where we live most of our life. So think about that. Think about the beginning of our faith, the darkness of the tomb, and what came out of the tomb, the dark, the light, and the resurrection before us. And I think about my brand new little granddaughter, 1 week old. Yeah. The darkness of the womb being born into the world. The birth pangs have become a reality. Not always easy, to be sure, but powerful and beautiful. So I want you to think about this ad. I'll get this done, I promise you, but we got to say this, folks. There's an ad that I saw that said, "We will sell you the whole seat for the game, but you will only need the edge." I want you to think about that. My friends, we at Peace United need to be sitting on the edge of our seats. We need to be sitting there ready to rise up for what is next, what is best, what is for God. We need to rise up for God is calling us to do and to be in this time, what hopeful new life we're bringing to our siblings. Micah 6:8 says, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does God require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with our God." That is our calling. The other day, I had an opportunity. Claire and I were talking at the desk. We were actually working really hard. Well, I was, but when we were there, we were talking to Christina Valdez, our director of our Listos Dual Immersion Preschool, came forward with this look in her eye. And she said, "Is Peace still a sanctuary church?" To which I said, "Yes, we are." She's very fearful of people in her community because they don't feel safe anymore. They're fearful about what's coming next, who's coming next, what's going to happen next. So we talked to her about that, and I said, if there's nothing else that I can do, I can open those doors wide and welcome those folks in. But the other thing I can do, I can stand outside those doors and don't let people come in to get them. We are called to stand, to open the doors for all people, but we're also there to protect along the way. I began thinking about that, how we rise up, how we need to rise up for our undocumented siblings and become that sanctuary church and to live that out. And I'll rise and stand at that door. I hope you'll join me on that. For our LGBTQ siblings, marriages, when they begin to threaten about taking and breaking those marriages apart, I'm telling you, I will stand there. I think we will stand there together and rise up and say, you can't do that to our people that we love. I'll stand up for all those that are Rainbow Choir, many who have felt disillusioned by the churches that they've gone to in the past, by faith itself, even by God. But they find themselves even a little bit nervous walking into this church. But thank God for Dylan and Bob and others who found a way to say, you all come in, you are welcome here. And there's no exception to that. And you know what? They came in. That choir is beautiful and bold once again. And we stand outside those doors and say, don't you come and mess with my people. Do you stand there with me? So I think about all of those, our trans siblings who are facing discrimination and hatred, where we need to rise up from the edge of our seats. We need to rise up and work hard and fight the systems of discrimination that they face along the way. I think about those in our community, at our drag queen bingo last night that came to support us, and how dare a church celebrate in such a way? Amen. We open the doors wide, and we say, y'all come in, and we'll stand outside against those Proud Boys every day. Bringing our community together. We stand up and rise as well. I think about our women in our world and our community who face their health care and reproductive rights being stripped away. And I don't care what side of the issue on that, it's a woman's right no matter what. I will stand and rise with you and support and provide assistance for them and their families. And you know what, folks? We have people coming in from outside of the state of Minnesota because their state won't allow any reproductive health care work. We help support them financially to get them here, to be housed here, to feed them, to make sure that they get a safe place to go. I will stand, and I think this church, in its new mission, needs to do that because we are called. We're called to be at the edge of our seats as Christians, as followers of Jesus, as followers of the way, of being people united here in this place, not Democrat, not Republican. That needs to go away. I am so tired of that. We are one in the Spirit of God that calls us to live it out. We've done it for generations. We'll continue to do it for more, but it's our time because we're called to be at the edge of our seats, to engage with acts of justice and love and peace for all people, not just certain people, but all people. This is our time, Peace United. We are here to bring God's hope for the world, and I hope you will join me in the outrageous courage to rise up.